Welcome to the Hustling podcast. Hustling is the leading marketplace for side gigs. I am super thrilled this week to have Gene Gurkoff, founder and CEO of Charity Miles, on talking to us. Specifically, one of the things I'm really excited to have Gene on about is, we see a lot of younger startups and, that have been around for a year, 6 months, a couple years, especially on Hustling as a side hustle platform. We see a lot of younger companies and some, more tenured ones as well. But I'm excited to have you guys on. Being around for over a decade, there's a lot of wisdom I know you'll be able to share with us. So super grateful to have you here. And let's just jump right into what is Charity Miles.
Thank you very much, Perry, and thank you to the Hustle Wing community. We're really grateful that you all reached out to us and that we have the opportunity to connect with you in your community. Seems like a great thing that you guys have going, and we're honored to be a part of it. So like Perry said, I'm Gene. I'm the founder of Charity Miles. And Charity Miles is an app that allows people and empowers people to make an impact for charity whenever you walk, run, or bike, or do other activities. And there's a number of different ways that we do that. You can use Charity Miles to raise money for charities through those charities' corporate partners when charities have corporate partners. We have an employee empowerment program that enables companies to sponsor their employees. We have a peer-to-peer fundraising program that allows people to ask their friends and family to sponsor them. And then you can also just use Charity Miles to walk through your day. And when you share it on social media, you can raise awareness for the charity that you care about. Or you can even just use it and tell yourself a story about what values you have in life and what that means to you to be walking for a charity. And Charity Miles, like you said, has been around for 11 years. We continue to evolve and to grow and to look and think of new ways that we can help turn our movement into an impact for charity. And it's a community-led effort. We've had a lot of success, and whenever there's an article about the top 5 health and fitness apps, we're usually one of them. We've won a Webby Award. We won top award of South by Southwest. And we've got 8 people that have walked or run across the United States with Charity Miles, including an 11-year-old boy, which is the most amazing thing I've ever been able to bear witness to. It's an incredible community, and it's a community-led effort. It's not at all due to me. We're a small team. We punch above our weight, and whenever people are willing to help us out, we're grateful for it. So we're super grateful for the opportunity to be here today.
Oh man, it's awesome to hear. We haven't even scratched the surface of your story yet, but I know it's going to be good just from this first couple of minutes. With that, you kind of covered a lot, but you want to give us an elevator pitch of, I know you guys show up in the rankings for like the top charity apps pretty consistently. And like you said, you're punching weight with some of these massive, massive companies. It's a huge feat. Mm-hmm. Do you want to share that elevator pitch with us before we move on to a couple other questions?
The elevator pitch depends on who I'm pitching to, but if just for regular people, like I said, it's a super easy way for you to take all the miles and the steps that you're doing in your day anyway, and to make an impact for a cause that you care about. If I'm talking to a company that's looking to engage their employees, it's an easy, fun way for companies to make well-being and giving back part of their culture. For charities, it's a way for them to cultivate their grassroots and corporate supporters. So I guess it depends on who the pitch is to, but it's just a simple idea. We all kind of know what it means to walk for charity, and we enable you to make that part of the way that you walk through life.
That's great. I know we have, the hustler community is people of all backgrounds. So we have people that are recruiters, people that are in technical roles. And so that's an excellent for them to be able to kind of think about how they can plug Charity Miles into their life and how they can kind of get involved and be a part of your community. The last question I have before we jump on, kind of going full circle with that actually, is do you guys have any side hustle opportunities that are open now or that you can see coming in the future that you want to talk about?
Yeah, so we're a really, really small team. I think I mentioned this to you earlier, but whenever, there's an article about the top 5 walking and running apps, it's usually Nike, Strava, Under Armour, and us. And this other app that's like a zombie app. But these are really big companies with a lot of people and a lot of money behind them. We're a really small company. So we could use help with sales and marketing. We don't do anything really for marketing. It's all grassroots, kind of organic. And if there's somebody that could help us figure out some, effective marketing strategies so that we can make a bigger impact, that would be helpful. Even just things like SEO, our website, social media, I'm sure on the engineering side of things, we have a pretty lean engineering team. I'm sure they could use some help. So we're super grateful anytime anybody would like to get involved and help us out.
Yeah, and I want to talk about culture and some other things that make Charity Miles, because one of the things that ties us together is I started a company years back in employee engagement, and I know that Charity Miles has a big kind of component of that. I know it's important to you from the little bit of research I did before our call. So I want to touch on that in a second, but I would really love to kind of start at the genesis, the origination of like where did Charity Miles begin? How did the idea come about? What took you to this point? I try not to poison my mind too much, but I saw that there was some inspiration in your life that kind of brought you here. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, certainly. So, like you said, we do a lot with employee engagement now, and I really didn't know anything about employee engagement going into this. So, um, I started Charity Miles. I used to be a lawyer on Wall Street doing the Lord's work, corporate finance, M&A. And when I was in law school 20 years ago, I started to run marathons to raise money for Parkinson's disease in honor of my grandfather. And through the years, and then when I graduated law school, like I'd started to see like other teams for like different charities, and there was no team for Parkinson's, and I wanted there to be a team for Parkinson's. And kind of serendipitously, I was introduced to some people at the Michael J. Fox Foundation, which was still a very young organization. They were only a few years old. And they needed some pro bono legal work done. And so I started to do pro bono legal work for them. And then we started Team Fox, which is their grassroots fundraising program. And then at the law firm I was at, I started getting involved with other charities. And then I had this idea, like when iPhones came out, like if I could make an app for all the people like me that are out there running and walking for charity, then collectively we could have a bigger impact. And the idea when I started it was really more about like corporate sponsorship, like companies that want to advertise to people. And that's where we started, but it since grew into all these other things as well. So it's not just companies that are looking to kind of put their brand out in a public way, but things like peer-to-peer fundraising so your friends can sponsor you, things like employee well-being so that companies can help their employees, be healthier and create more of that culture around well-being and giving back. And so these things have kind of just like evolved from what we do. And we try to be as like open to the way that the feedback that we get from people as possible to kind of bring that to life for our community. And I would tell you, like, you ask about like my story, and that's kind of like a weird thing that as like a founder, like you're always asked about your story, and like so I kind of have that. But like honestly, if it was just like my grandfather and like that was like the inspiration, I would have quit this a long time ago. And because it's like really hard, and like you have like a lot of challenges as a startup, as I'm sure you know. But our community is just incredible. Like the people in our community, the things that they share in our Facebook group and on Instagram and on LinkedIn, and that they email me, and you just like I said, like 8 people have walked or run across the United States with Charity Miles, which is crazy. An 11-year-old boy, not only did he go across the United States like everybody, the other people that did it, he went from the tip of Key West to the northwest tip of Washington State, 4,300 miles. Absolutely bananas. And I'm friends with, like, I talk with them on the phone and text them, and people have come and stayed at my house, and it's just absolutely an incredible community to be a part of, and that's what keeps us going and keeps us fired up and inspired every day.
So it's cool. I mean, so it kind of starts with family, and then it sounds like the fuel that keeps, because it is like you touched on it. I think a lot of CEOs and founders, I don't know if people understand how hard and lonely, and it's kind of like being in New York City, right? Like a lot of people are like, you're surrounded by people, how could you be alone in New York City? It's like, till you understand it, like you just don't understand. And so it sounds like it starts with family, but it's this community piece that you guys have kind of cultivated through time that helps keep you going and kind of empowers you. Is that right?
100%. Yeah. And I'm sure that you're probably experiencing that with Hustling too, and the other things that you've done, but like you've got an incredible community going with Hustling from what I can see. And when you hear, what this means to people, both from the companies that are getting the help and from the people that are getting the hustles, like, it's making an impact. And when you hear that, that's the thing that gets you going. Like, I'm not sure like what inspired you to start Hustling, but I feel like it's kind of like, like with any like big thing that you take on in life, whether it's like running a marathon or something, you have like that initial inspiration, but you need something to keep it going, because that like initial inspiration can get you like started, but like you need something that keeps it going.
I like very much resonate with that. I've been thinking about this concept actually in reverse. There's like a wellness coach or a self-help coach, Brandon Bouchard, that I've been listening to a lot recently. And his whole thing is like, he's like, I'm going to bet on the person that's like, they want to win for their mom. They're like, whether it's a sport or something, they're like, I'm going to win it for my mom. It's like something bigger than them. And it's, it's interesting. It's kind of like they did the preparation. If all things are equal, the person that has that in mind, they have their community, they have their like why is so clear, but it's like this, it's not just them, it's like beyond them. And I think in a lot of ways, I know we don't have a ton of time to go down the sappy road too far, but I think a lot of us, and one of the things that drew me to hustling so much was like, as a founder, I think it's getting harder and people are more expensive to get really top tier talent. And people are, as things get more expensive, it's nice to have side opportunities where you can help somebody out with 5 or 10 hours with maybe your design or maybe your engineering or whatever skills you have. And it's like, it's a lot of times it's not just about the money. It's not just about, there's a lot of people that just want to kind of give back or find their purpose. And I think I'm in a position in life too, where I'm like, what, purpose is kind of a focus for me. And like, what is the legacy that I want to have? And what's the impact that I want to have? And like, I think a lot of us are starting to kind of look at things a little bit differently. I know for me throughout my 20s, I chased title, money, things, and I made a lot of mistakes going down that road. And had the apartment in Manhattan and did the whole thing. I was close to Wall Street, but not on Wall Street. And then you get to this point where it's like, well, how do I interface with other human beings? Like, what value do I bring? Like, how does my story read? And with what you guys are doing, it's so cool. I don't know if you feel at times like you fell into it or it found you, or, like it's just a really cool progression of how you've been doing this for such a long time. And it's like a really meaningful mission.
Thank you. Yeah. It continues every day to grow and even take on new meanings for me. Sorry, my cat's eating my computer. Kind of not, you might hear the meow in the recording for everybody out there who likes meows. One of the things that I've tried to learn, and I have to continually remind myself this, is just to be open to where the road takes you. And like, I had certain ideas when I started this, that some of which were right and some of which were not. And I've had to learn to be open to it. And all the success that we've had, to the extent that we've had success, has come from the community. And that's the thing that I really just feel like I'm a passenger on this train, and I'm lucky to be on it. So we're super grateful to all the people and the companies and the charities and the partners who've come to us, like you guys, and have wanted to help drive this train. So we are really, really grateful.
Yeah, it's cool. I had a product mentor early in my career who said, word of mouth is number one. There is no number two. And that seems to be very true for you guys and a lot of really strong brands. And so equally grateful to be sitting here with you and kind of get to talk about your journey and your story a little bit to this point. I want to transition a little bit to one last question on kind of Charity Miles, and then let's talk company culture, kind of what you guys look like. How's the team set up maybe a little bit? So, if we have any hustlers in the community that are interested, we can kind of put them your way and find ones that are a good fit for you. But you kind of touched on it a little bit. Have you guys had to have any major pivots like along the way? And, I would imagine there's this huge business component with the employee engagement part. Was that something you thought of in the beginning? Like, did you know that was going to be a piece of it? Talk about any pivots that are relevant.
That really, I wouldn't call it a pivot as much as an evolution, in that when we started, the original idea was that we were going to have a few big name charities in the app, and then we would go out and we would get companies to advertise in the app, and that would be where the money came from. And that worked to an extent, but we never got an unlimited amount of money from the companies. Like, no company had like an unlimited budget. So that created some challenges in that, like, we just didn't have as much money to give away as we wanted. And like, with so many people using the app, we wanted to have more money to give away. And also, the number one feedback that everybody always had was they wanted to have like their charity added to the app. Like, there was a charity that they want added, but we couldn't add charities to the app because we didn't have an unlimited amount of money to support them.
I think this is a great stopping point for us to kind of transition into your internal culture and kind of what the team makeup is, how large the team is, how it's grown maybe, and what kind of, what folks make an ideal hire for your, for the team at Charity Miles.
Company culture is very lean. So we have like a 2-person tech team here in the United States with some offshore help in Vietnam. And then on the business side of it, it's really me and my colleague, Nicole. And we actually had another colleague who unfortunately just left us to take another position, and we're excited for her and the new opportunity that she has. So it used to be 3 of us on the business side, and then we have the small tech team as well. So we're a very lean company. From time to time, we have different like interns that help out on different things, but and then we have different contractors that we work with. Like we have an agency that we just started working with to help us with some SEO. We have an agency that we've worked with to help just redesign our website. So we have different contractors that come in for different things along the way. And then what makes an ideal hire? I think that we're open. So if like somebody is really good at sales, marketing, product, like any of that, like we're open. And if they have the heart and they care and they feel like that they could help us make an impact and help us, get more people and companies moving to make a difference, we are super open to that. Yeah, I'd never really thought of anything like hustling before until you guys reached out last week. So I don't sound like I have like an open job description written out. So I want to be open to like what comes in, like when you guys put this out there.
Yeah, no, it's a really fair point. And it's a really cool opportunity because how often do you get to go to a company where you're one of very few, one of the first 10 or the first 5 even, and you kind of get to define and be a part of that culture and, this other side of the community in a way, it's a really cool opportunity. It's, to recap, you guys are looking, if I remember correctly, looking for help on the sales, maybe a side hustle on the sales side, maybe some on the marketing, SEO, biz dev side of things, and maybe some little engineering things here and there. Is that right?
I would say, sales and marketing is always number one. Okay. And, on the engineering side of things, we have a very lean team. So we move very slowly on even just like product design. We could always use help with that. We could use help on, but we're pretty slow and minimalist in what we do on the product side of things. Our product it's like the least sophisticated product that there is. Mostly because we're just focused on being simple and easy to use, so we don't get too complicated on the engineering stuff. But I'd say sales and marketing is always number one.
Cool. We definitely have a lot of those hustlers on the platform, so I think we're in the right place. I could talk to you all day, Gene. I think it's really cool what you guys are doing, and I love that the mission is it's bigger than just dollars and cents. But the one question that's been on my mind this whole conversation is, where in New Jersey did you grow up? You grew up in Jersey, right?
I grew up in North Caldwell, New Jersey, and I live in Montclair, which is just a town over. North Caldwell is most well known for The Sopranos. That's where Tony Soprano is from. Very close to where I grew up. We live it here. Bruce Springsteen and Sopranos every day.
And subs and pizza and all the good stuff. I grew up on the west side of Jersey by the Pennsylvania border, where Garden State gets the name Garden State. I grew up on a farm.
Beautiful state.
It's crazy. So underrated. But I digress. It's always
largest
good to
producer of blueberries in the country, which I just learned.
There you go, folks. You heard it here first.
State.
The blueberries are good. We have cranberries too, right? Or is that somewhere else?
We're also the largest producer of cranberries. You're right.
People sleeping on Jersey. I mean, the taxes are bad. I will say I'm not thrilled about that, but everything else, I love my home state. Yeah. So it's good to talk to another non-fist pumping Jersey person. Again, so glad to have you here. And is there anything we didn't cover on Charity Miles, or you in the background before we kind of close things out here?
No, I think so. I think that's a good covering. And again, just main thing is that we're really honored and grateful for the opportunity to connect with you and your community. So thank you so much for reaching out.
Yeah, you guys are incredible. I mean, over a decade to be doing what you're doing, like just props to you, props to the team, props to this young lady that's moving on her career. Thank you to her for getting you guys there. I mean, it's really not easy, and against the odds, you guys have done it, and with a lean team, it's pretty badass. So
Thank you.
yeah,